Okay. Today I'm really honored to do this keynote at .NET Core, .NET Conference in Shanghai, China. Thanks to the organizers for having me in this awesome event. I'm really excited. I'm really awesome. So let me introduce myself. I am the cloud advocate at Microsoft, and my name is Justin, and this is my Korean name. And I don't have any Weibo account at the moment yet, but if you like, you can visit my blog, and I write a lot of blog posts about Azure and .NET. So if you like, you can visit and have a discussion over there. So during the entire keynote session, I'd like to share about my personal story as a .NET developer. So how I became a .NET developer from non-IT background. So let me ask a question. So is there anyone from not studying any computer science or IT? Right? So I can assume that there are many people from the IT background, like computer engineering or computer science or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that there are many people have non-IT degrees, or even have a degrees from different courses, such as like education or literature or art or something like that. So don't be shy. That's totally fine, because I am the one of you. So let's start my own story. Back in my university days, I studied education because I wanted to become a teacher. But I soon realized that becoming a teacher is not just about teaching students. It's more about a lot required other than teaching, such as dedication, commitment to students, and counseling to students for their life guidance or something like that, which is really not mine. So I quickly gave up becoming a teacher. Then I decided to jump in to the IT company in Korea as a career development specialist, which is basically an HR person. So within the company, I support all the software engineers in the company to support their the career development. And I found very interesting fact that during the consulting or the supporting those and the career developments, I really found very interesting fact, because the software engineering is really interesting to me, because from the non-IT background perspective, they make something. If they need something, they make something, and they use it. It's like magic to me. So how can I really wanted to become one of them. How can I become a developer? How can I become a maker or something like that? So I made a decision to become a developer. So I changed my career into the developer as a first-timer. It's very interesting. So I was fortunate that inside the company there was an internal transfer opportunity. So I took that opportunity. So I transferred into the development department. So and the first time when I was allocated into the development team, my boss asked me, which one would you choose, SAP or .NET? At that moment, I have no idea. I have never heard of what SAP was. So, but during the career consulting, with other software engineering teams. So I heard of the programming languages like .NET, Java, Python, or PHP, whatever. So I heard of the name .NET. Okay, I will choose .NET. So I became a .NET developer. So my first project as a .NET developer was about the product marketing management, system management, the development, because that company is very big in Korea and as well as very big in the global level. So they sell a lot of mobile phones, and they keep a lot of the global market share, very big portion of market share. So they are running global level of the marketing promotions from everywhere in the world. So they needed to have a central location of their product marketing, the management. So actually there was a small system which was built in classic ASP at the moment, but their requirement was something new. They wanted to build a new application with C# with the .NET Framework 1.1, and they completely wanted to renew that application. But it's not a migration project, it's a completely renew project. We only took their small business process from the legacy application. So we built it, and my senior, because I have no idea how to code the C# at the moment, so my senior showed me how easy to use Visual Studio .NET 3. Because it was basically the web form, and I just click the web controls and drag and drops and double click, put some code in there and compile it, run it. So which was, wow, yeah, that's the coding. Okay, I like it. So yeah, I was really happy to, it looks really easy to me. So I put everything in one big method, which was about more than 1,000 lines in one method. So I have no idea, because it is working, but I have no idea what went wrong so far. So I have even no idea about what the object-oriented programming was. So all I did was just move the web controls from here to there, and click and put a few lines of code and debug it. And all the code was all about looping, like a for each loop, do while loop, if-else statement, and switch statement, all sorts of things. Big method. So it looks very messy. It looks very messy. So one method takes care of everything, and it's all the spaghetti. So even a few days later, I want to fix something. I couldn't even remember what I did, because it's too big. So all I could do in that time was just press F5 button for debugging. So there was no test code, something like that. Because I was a junior, and I was the only person at the team without IT degrees. And I was junior, and only deployment was allowed by the seniors. And at that time, there was no automation systems. So they do everything by their hands, from their local machine to the production server, which it didn't look good to me, because I was asking that I was afraid to ask my seniors, why would you do that? Because they know all the coding skills and techniques, and I have no idea. And it's like if I ask that, and everyone would laugh at me, because you have no idea, you don't know what you are doing, something like that. So I was very afraid to ask that. So after that, I felt very behind. I felt very behind because no IT background, and even one of my boss was telling something, everyone understood. They nodded. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. But to me, what is that? Something like this. So I have no idea what they are talking about. So I felt very pressured. So So I decided to stop working for that company and then go back to university to study IT in master's degree. So that's my the first the story about as a first timer. So I back to university and I studied the master's degree in IT in Australia. So yeah, so everything was at school. So it was all okay. So I learned a lot. So using the ASP.NET 2 and the school gave the students with Visual Studio license. So I used a lot of the free stuff using there. And then the ASP.NET 2 uses master's template, user controls, and something like that. So I used all the technologies in here. But I still don't understand what they are doing because it was a lecture. So it was just a lecture. So whenever I followed the instruction, the code works. But if something's broken, I have no idea how to fix it. I had no idea how to fix it. So my code works, I have no idea. My code was broken, I have no idea either. So that's my situation at the moment, even if I was studying in IT, in master's degree. Still my code was messy, still my code was dirty. And even, so it's the school assignment. So I don't have to write any test code on there. And also, if my lecturer assigned the location to submit that application, I just did it by manually. Right? So everything was in manual, everything was on the book, not from the field. So it really sounds ridiculous if you are seeing this one. From even myself, if I am seeing this one, it really looks ridiculous. But at that time, that was true. So after graduation, so after complete my master's degree in Australia, and I got a job there as within the non-profit organization. So I first, so my responsibility was to build fundraising event management system, which is the non-profit organization. They heavily rely on the donations and fundraising for the main source as a main source of income and their administration. So, and this time the .NET Framework 3.5 was released, and my previous developer uses Visual Studio .NET, Visual Basic .NET. But they are asking me to rebuild or rewrite the code with C#. So, okay, I can do that. So I used a lot of things, and they used internally, they connected the database, and also for the payment, payment gateway system, they talk to external payment gateway system through the web service or the API or something like that. But that application, previously written in Visual Basic .NET, was almost hard-coded. So I couldn't barely use those technologies like WShape or Link. I couldn't use that. I just hard-coded, used a select query inside the code, and use direct the query to the payment gateway system. And we used Visual SourceSafe as a source code control. And one of the biggest achievements with that company, with that organization, was I built first public-facing application, because the previous application I built was only for employees, internally used one. So I don't have to worry about the traffics, I don't have to worry about scaling, anything. Just for, as long as it works, it was fine. But this time, I built the public-facing application, which is really using the real user's interaction. So, every time the fundraising event takes place and the traffic, a lot of traffic comes in, and the server just busted out. And when the event was over and traffic was go down. So it's really hard to predict those kind of traffic things, because I was At that time, I was junior developer. I was the only one in the development team. There was no architect. It's all about architecturing issue, not an application issue. So I was really struggling in that thing. And also, I started understanding of what the object-oriented concept in real life. So which was great to me. And as I said, the previous application was written in Visual Basic, but they asked me to rewrite the code in C#. So I gradually patched the existing Visual Basic code into the C# because they are using the same CLR, so which was the beauty of .NET. So it was not that hard, but we still I have to maintain both two different code bases anyway. And they started migrate their source code management system from Visual SourceSafe into the SVN, which was great. So after this project, after this developing the fundraising management system, then I moved on to other roles as a junior developer at one of the telecommunication company in Australia. So in that team, I was assigned to develop and maintain customer management system, which was written in ASP.NET 4. And in here, we use the ASP.MVC. I firstly use ASP.MVC pattern, but for the legacy application, they still use a web form. But for more testability and flexibility, they introduced the MVP pattern in there. And they are using Team Foundation Server for their source code management system. So in here, I firstly heard of what the MVP pattern was. And I firstly heard of what the MVC pattern was. So this is my first exposure to the design patterns. So these are the architectural patterns, but also other design patterns like, there are around 20 design patterns something out there. So my senior developers gradually introduced all those patterns, but so I heard of that. Okay, I can use that, but I have no idea. But that's my first exposure to the design patterns. So as I said, this was a telecommunication company, and they are so in the consumer market. There are major 2 or 3 telco companies in Australia, and there are many other small telecommunication companies followed up. So the consumer market was very competitive, and I was asked to, if one company launched a new plan, and all the other companies just follow it, or even launch a cheaper plan, something like that. So we have to quickly move on to launch a new plan, and after that, all existing applications become a legacy. So so all the team member was battling around the older legacy applications. So, and the good thing I've learned in this organization was that they ran a brown bag session every Friday lunchtime. So we brought all our own lunch into the meeting room. Then we started discussion by watching the developer video, like Scott Hainsman videos, something like that. And we started discussion about that. Sometimes senior developers brought their new ideas about how to improve our applications, something like that. So I started being aware of those kind of community activities. Wow. So before that, only my source of knowledge was like Googling or Stack Overflow. That was it. But now I can hear from my colleagues. And I can ask help from my colleague, which was really valuable to me. Also, this was about the team collaboration started. Before joining this company, I worked as a team, but I couldn't say there was a teamwork because we worked very independently. But in this organization, we work together we running the internal communities. We work together. If I want to know something, I ask the colleague sitting next to me, or I ask another thing to my senior, and they are very happy, very helpful, and very supportive. So I started being aware of those values in here, which was really great. So after that, after they finish this project, this company, I moved to another company. But in this time, they are using the open source content management system. So I was a part of marketing team in that company, in the manufacturing company. So the marketing team want to use content management system as their marketing tool. So, but they didn't want to spend money. So there are a lot of .NET-based commercial content management system out there, but they didn't want to use that. Instead, they want to use open source content management system. So we chose Umbraco for the as an open source content management system, and it was using ASP.NET 4.5 now. And because the nature of content management system was about the high flexibility, high extendability, because they provide just only a framework, and we manage all our contents in there. So we use our own custom user controls, we use our custom master templates, and because of the reusability and flexibility, or something like that, we heavily introduced all the design patterns here. So, as I said, I was first exposure on the design patterns in the previous company. Now I started actively using design patterns in here. So, which I grew up a lot from before. And that Umbraco, that CMS uses Mercurial as the source code management system. So, and that company also used the Mercurial for that. And this was my first and last experience of using Mercurial. Now, so one of the good things I worked for that company was I realized the power of the open source ecosystem, because the Umbraco was open source framework, and it's not just open source application. It's also about big open source community. So everyone using the Umbraco, the libraries or applications, they get together within the community, they share ideas, they contribute the libraries or applications, they get feedback to each other, they cheer each other, they get lots of inspiring each other. So as soon as I started using that Umbraco, it was really interesting to me. Wow. Because I was just only one consumer of that library. I was not the developer. I was not the contributor of that library. I thought those the open source contributors are kind of people from the other planet. So I wouldn't even think of I can, the share, or I can discuss something with them. I couldn't even imagine for that. But they are all the human beings sitting next to me, and we talked to each other, and we discussed a lot about their libraries and ideas or something like that. So it was really a valuable experience to me. But as like all other the CMS is experiencing, I experienced the scaling issue as well. So we have to rely on the caching techniques. So I learned a lot about the caching techniques in here. And because of that, so I used a lot of patchwork here. So the marketing department was only required to get things done. So I have to use the only patchwork in here. So it left a lot of technical debt in here in this organization. So after moving the company as a senior developer, I developed the credit analysis and the reporting system. So this time, I was the only, I'm not only using the ASP.NET, but also use the backend API development using .NET, something like that. So I became a full stack developer. Now I use the WCF, SOAP, the web service API, RESTful API, and also I get all the data collected from external data source. So I have to be the integration expert. And we use SVN for their source code management. And as I said, this is a credit reporting company. Their main source of income is credit reporting. So, but these are running quite a while, like more than 15 years. So they have a lot of legacy applications, and the only way to fix the problem on the legacy application was patchworking. So we couldn't do any the renew of that thing because no one knows how the legacy application works before. So, and one thing I know was the API versioning in here, because we consume external APIs, and we also provide APIs for other external API the consumers. So I learned that I can easily change the code inside, but if that change involved into the API data context change, and it really become problematic. So I have to use API versioning, and then the latest version of API must be compatible with the old API versions. And as I said, I have to deal with all the legacy applications with different languages like Java, Python, and the technologies. So I have to deal with all those things. And the last thing they wanted to do was SVN to Git migration, which was really painful, but we managed it. So after that, I changed my job into a consultant and using the Azure. So that consulting company is fully 100% the Azure the oriented one. So all the application I developed was the Azure-based applications. And we used .NET 4.6, which is pretty mature. Then, so I expand my skill set into the database connection using entity frameworks. I used the two-way the communication using SignalR, and also I used a lot of integration techniques as well. And everything was managed in Git. And the beauty of Git was that that company uses different branches, which is in Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, even in Philippines. So we didn't use Git for just source code control management, but also used for the collaboration, team collaborations, which was really good. And we used the best practice of the branching strategies in here. And so I have got the comprehensive understanding of design patterns because of every consultancy has their own IP to develop one system to another system using the similar component. So to use those kind of reusability, I heavily use the design patterns in here. So I can say now, I can understand the design patterns now. So this year, I became a Microsoft MVP, and because of I learned a lot from my colleagues and a lot from the communities. Then I started giving back my knowledge into the community. So after that, Microsoft recognized me to become a Microsoft MVP, which was really honorable. So it made me push myself a lot harder to active community contribution. Also, the cloud-based application development was about a lot of the asynchronous the programming required. But the .NET itself is natively supports asynchronous programming, so we don't have to worry about all those development experience. So which was really good. Now, in that company, I started using .NET Core. So .NET Core 1 was released in 2016, and then I became a Microsoft MVP with double the awarded in here. So, and I started open source contributions by fixing some typos as a small thing. So, and next year, .NET Core 2.2 was released, and my skill set was expanded into like IoT, Raspberry Pi, or HoloLens, mixed reality. So that's the power of the .NET Core. So I became a developer from the non-IT background. And it's because of the power of .NET, and I used a lot of open source, and I used a lot of the sharing, those kind of things. So that made me who I am now. So now we have .NET Core 3, and as Scott showed me before, we used a lot of the .NET Core can be used in many ways, including Windows desktop, web, and even machine learning. And this is the future of .NET 5, which is next year. And this is the roadmap. So yeah, this is November. So I'm hoping the .NET Core 3.1 will be released soon. And next year, .NET Core 5, which is the total integration with .NET Framework and .NET Core and Mono. And from then, each year we'll have different .NET version. So this is my story about how I became a developer with .NET and open source and community. So if any of you are interested in or becoming a .NET developer, then this .NET Core 3 will really help you to become such a great developer. So try download the .NET Core 3 in here, and try download Visual Studio on your machine, and try it today. So thanks for having me, and thanks for listening. Thank you.
Justin, stay here. Wait. We have a question. 各位有什么问题吗？hands up， 举手。举高一点，我近视。有没有问题啊，各位小伙伴们？我是没看见，还是没人举？OK， 我看见了。稍等一下，我跑过去。
你好，您刚才说，您就是因为没有 IT 的背景，所以选择去读了一个研究生。那我想问一下您的建议，如果工作了几年之后，还想选择重返学校，您觉着是一个好的选择吗？
Thank you for your question.
So what do you think about getting back to school after working for years?
Yeah, I couldn't hear your question. Sorry.
You said you get back to school because you have non-IT backgrounds.
Yes, that's correct.
So what do you think about go back to school to get a master or doctor degree after working for years in the IT career?
Yeah, the question was about why I chose back to school to study IT. Because that's really good question. So within the slide, I told a little bit about that background context, because everyone in the team was having the IT degrees. They are all like computer science, computer engineering, network engineering, whatever. But I was having education background. And my boss, my manager says, okay, let's build this application in this way. They started, okay, I can do that. And to me, oh, what the hell is that? So that's my feeling. Then it keeps kicking me that at least I should be able to understand what they are talking about. That's the main reason or main motivation to back to school, to understand what their terms so I didn't want to have the extensive knowledge of how network is working like that, how API is working like that, those kind of things. I didn't want to know that part, but at least I want to understand what they are talking about. That's my main motivation back to uni to study a master's in IT.
Okay, just for understanding.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
谢谢。